It's now time for the Ray Longo Minute.
I want you to punch a hole in his fucking chest. That's what I want.
The Ray Longo Minute. Starring Ray Longo. The John Anik and Kenny Florian podcast.
Nothing makes me happier when I'm calling a pay-per-view when I get a text message from Kenny Florian or Ray Longo. I didn't get any text from Ken Flo at UFC 249. I actually had to text Ken Flo after the cruise stoppage to see what he felt about it at commercial breaks. I'm texting my guy Flo, but I did get a text from Ray Longo, and it just gives me that energy boost, Raymond. We're welcoming Ken Flo in right now. Flo, it's good to see you. Ray, thanks for the text over the weekend, my man.
No, any time, man. What an exciting card, man. I think a lot to talk about. Crazy. A
lot to talk about, and atmospherically, we talked a little bit about some of the conditions that we were dealing with on the broadcast at the top, but I want to talk about this fight between Tony Ferguson and Justin Gaethje, and there are so many things we could talk about it. I was giving Justin all the credit in the world, obviously, off the top of the show, but Ray, I want to talk to you about Ferguson and specifically his corner and their lack of adjustments, because I mentioned something at the end of the pay-per-view broadcast, and certainly, Flo, want to get your thoughts on this. You know, Eddie Bravo was talking about Tony and how the boxing looked pretty good. At one point, he suggested maybe an Imanari role as a change of strategy. But, Ray, I just didn't think, and I know you are in accordance with this thought, that there was a whole lot of intel or insight being offered to Tony in terms of making adjustments. And maybe this is just because Tony likes to coach himself in a lot of respects, but you saw Trevor Whitman doing a great job on the other side. I didn't feel like that Ferguson corner had a ton to give Tony in terms of pointed advice.
Man, you just covered a lot of different things. But yeah, first off, hats off to Trevor Whitman and Justin Gaethje. Beautiful job. And it's great to see when guys are communicating in the corner and responding. You could see the rapport they have. And look, John, this is a fight where the corner could make a difference. You know what I mean? And I think we probably seen it more because there was no crowd, so you could, listen in on the corners. But it seemed like Ferguson just, I think what I text you is I can't believe there's no lack of urgency. Like there was, right. He was getting a beating, and I don't know, I really don't even know what to say, because you brought up a good point. I know this from being, from coaching, obviously, is that Ferguson, look, he looked like a guy that does his own thing. And then when it came time to get some advice, it's not there because, you're so used to doing your own thing. You're not really listening to anybody. So that could have been the problem right there. So I don't want to go out and talk anything about, the coaches, because we don't know their relationship and their position. Right. But if you observe, there's a big difference in the relationship between Trevor Whitman and Justin Gaethje as there is, in the other corner. There was a total disconnect, and then there was a total connect. Right. And I honestly believe that had a lot to do with Gaethje winning that fight. And hats off to those guys, man. It's just great to see, because you could see how well they know each other, and that the communication it's calm, it's insightful. He listened, he made the adjustments, take something off your punches. This was great work, man. So hats off to those guys. And again, as a coach, man, I love to see it. And Trevor's just a nice guy. He deserves all the accolades he could get. And it was just fun to watch as a coach. And then you go to the other corner, and it's just like even no urgency with the Imanari role. I don't want to say it's just, you could see there was a big difference in the corners in that fight.
Kenny, Rashad Holloway got urgent later in the fight with some advice and some direction for Tony Ferguson. You're a UFC corner, man, someone who fought for the title 3 times. Am I reaching here? Any thoughts on that Ferguson corner and their inability as a team to make any sort of requisite adjustments in the fight?
You're not reaching at all. I think the main difference is not only did the rapport between Gaethje and Whitman, not only was that a different dynamic, but I also think they're just different fighters. You look at Tony Ferguson, I think what makes Tony Ferguson great is the fact that he allows himself to actually do what he does in training. He allows those weapons to come forth, and he's never been known as the most technical guy. Right. Are you going to all of a sudden teach him how to jab? Are you going to, hey, Tony, keep your chin down. Why are you getting hit out there? You be evasive. That's not his style. Right, that's the big problem. So I think for Tony Ferguson, the corner was probably shocked, like, shit, nothing is working out there. What the hell do we do? I've never seen it's rare, right? If you are a corner man and you're like reaching for something in your pocket, be like, Imanari roll. You got to do an Imanari roll. Like, that's not going to win the fight. If you're reaching for straws like that, and just throwing one thing, like this is the one thing that's going to win you the fight, you're already pretty fucked, if we're being honest, right?
And Imanari roll in terms of the degree of difficulty.
It's extremely difficult.
I mean, I can do it, Kenny, but I understand for a lot of people it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Ray, in terms of,
and you could see at the time he did it in the fight, Gaethje was nowhere near him. It just made it even look worse. I mean, it was just like the perfect storm of things just not going right. And again, dude, I had to tell you, hats off to Tony Ferguson. He's got a chin of I don't know what that thing is made of, but I don't want to see that, because he, what bothers me also about this is I do believe he earned that fight. He earned the right to fight Khabib, and that really was the fight. When stuff like this happens, man, he's doing the right thing, and it's a fight, and everybody, look, we all benefited from it, but it kind of sucks that, he might never even see that fight again, and that was a fight everybody wanted to see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so happy for Justin Gaethje and the life-changing money and opportunities that are going to come his way. But you're right. I am very sad here on a Monday morning for Tony Ferguson because it is just complete insanity and defies all logic, Kenny, that he's never fought for the undisputed title. And while I do believe that history will look back upon his winning streak fondly, this is a tough pill for him to swallow. And at 36 years old, it stands to reason that he may not fight for the undisputed belt after absorbing this loss 2 days ago.
This was what worried me. I mean, he's, in my book, one of the best lightweights of all time, period. No one can ever take that away from him. But as far as, realizing his dream of being a champion in that division, that might be gone forever. That's the saddest part about this. Now, this wasn't just the only issue. I mean, he had 5 other times to do it against Khabib, right? So we can't talk about those other things too. Just for whatever reason, it just never came to fruition. And he fought a guy in Justin Gaethje who I thought was a tougher matchup for him stylistically. And I think that ended up being proven true on Saturday night. And it was kind of further cemented by the fact that we had Gaethje, who was not only technically at his best that he's ever been in his career, he was the most composed Gaethje we've ever seen. He paced himself the best that we've ever seen. And all those factors wrapped into one was allowed Gaethje to win that fight. And it was just kind of terrible circumstances for Tony Ferguson, who has done everything possible in his power to become a champion in this sport. And that's the saddest part. Ferguson will go down as a legend.
Yeah.
I also I'm kind of further worried by the fact that he took so much damage in that fight after taking a lot of damage in his career. And I hope this is not the case. I hope he takes a long time off and allows his body and brain to recover. But this fight was concerning to me on how Ferguson can take his game to the next level for that next fight.
Yeah, and let me just say another thing. Who knows what those 2 weight cuts in 3 weeks did? I mean, I just felt bad for the guy because you could see he's a little different. But I mean, he did go out. He made the weight cut. If he would have won this fight, it would have been crazy. Look at this guy. He did this. He did that. Right. But it kind of sucks because I agree with Kenny. He did everything right to fight for that title. I mean, his win streak is crazy against great guys, and not realize that dream and all the things that come with being a champion. You know what I mean? There's a lot, man. It kind of sucks, man, because I think I don't know. I don't know what I'm feeling. I feel bad. Look, I picked him to win. I thought he would, eventually get to him. But when that thing started going south, who knows? I mean, the way his legs looked, he was turning his back. And I know he does that in the fights. But I think it was a little different. I don't know. I feel bad that he even made the weight and he was proving a point, and it might have backfired on him. I'm not sure, and it's not taking away anything away from Gaethje because what a fantastic fight. And again, Trevor Whitman calming him down, saying take something off those punches was critical, and he made the adjustment. You could see they've had conversations in the past before on what he's done wrong in fights, and they're talking about in the corner like it's nothing, like he's watching a sparring session. I thought it was absolutely fantastic work.
It was a near perfect performance from Justin Gaethje. And Kenny, he's such a fucking G that the one picture he posts on Instagram was Ferguson's lone seminal moment in the fight. He posts the picture of Ferguson landing that uppercut, and he writes, "Face your fears, folks," right? Dude's a total fucking inspiration. You know, I won a fantasy football league 2 years ago, and my team was called Team Gaethje, okay? And I need to go back to that, right? But he truly is cut from a different cloth than a lot of guys, and I'm just so happy for him. Ken Flo, I did say off the top of the show, and I'm not trying to bring the show down into this sort of morass of negativity, but I have covered a boxing death in my life, and this is how boxers die, Kenny, is when they just absorb all that damage to the head for 25 or 36 minutes, and thankfully Herb Dean stepped in when he did, but just sort of piggybacking on something you said earlier, you know, I'm afraid that this is a result in a fight that is going to stay with Tony for some time.
It's very concerning to me. You know, a lot of people think, well, oh, that's great. He's got this great chin. That means he can take more damage. That's tremendous. You know, this is exactly what the superpower that you want. If you're a fighter, that's what you want. The problem is that, you know, it doesn't mean you're not taking damage. You're not getting knocked down or you're not getting knocked out, but you are taking damage. There's a big, big difference. And people think that, you know, because you can eat a bunch of shots that you're fine. It doesn't work that way. Your brain is still taking a lot of damage. And Gaethje, I guarantee you guys that Gaethje hits harder than anybody that Ferguson has ever fought. And we've seen Ferguson get hit before, and we've seen him get hurt, you know, a few times in his fights. And Ferguson at 36, that is very concerning to me, man. Ferguson isn't going to quit. You know, those are the two guys, you know, probably the best examples out of anyone in the UFC that are willing to die in the octagon. Some will say it, many will say it. Very few are actually willing to do it. Right. Gaethje and Ferguson are those men, and that's what was concerning to me, and that's why that stoppage was so good. Right. You needed to do that. When you look at a reaction like what Ferguson did, where he looks down, he shakes his head, he looks down again, he shakes his head, he's trying to figure out where the hell he is in time, and the referee goes in and stops it. Thank goodness.
What an insane visual that was. And shout out to Ken Flo, willing to die in the sauna, by the way, too.
Yeah, that was different.
Hey, Ray, we gotta move forward to Cejudo and Cruz here because I don't want to shortchange any of these fights with you. So it was for the UFC Bantamweight Championship, and right after there was an inadvertent headbutt largely caused by Cejudo's forward motion. 10 seconds later, Cejudo lands that seminal knee and finishes Cruz with strikes on the ground. Your thoughts on Cejudo winning and the Keith Peterson stoppage there, Raymond?
Man, tough. I think, again, look, you know what Cejudo does really good, man, and you've seen it over and over again. When he gets you in trouble, he just swarms you, and he's hitting you so fast and hard, it kind of gives the ref no choice but to stop the fight. Now, I'm going to be, you know, going back and forth all over the place because I do agree with Dominic Cruz. I mean, this fight could have went either way, right? So, I mean, not either way with that, but I mean, he was getting up, so I get his point. But then, you know, again, his rationale for I told him I wanted to die in the ring. You could tell the ref whatever you want. He's there to protect you, though. You could say that. I told him I just want to let it go. You could, you know, and then, you know, when Joe goes, you know, you had 11 unanswered punches. He goes, well, you know, it's part of the fight game. Yeah, it is part of the fight game. It's the part where the ref steps in and stops the fight. Right. You know what I mean? So he's right with that, but I think for the wrong reason. So I'm going to say it was Peterson did the right thing because he really was there to protect him, and that's 11 punches was a lot. But again, it could be just the fact that, you know, Cejudo, man, he just jumps in there and he just starts swinging, and it's a split second. So if Dominic Cruz would have, instead of putting that foot up, would have went face down, then Peterson would have been an idiot. It was too late. He should have stopped it after 6 punches, you know. So he was right on that fine line. I think at the end of the day, when you're out to protect somebody, it's a good call. But you know, you go either way. This is one way you go either way. I originally, you know, I agree with Dom. He was getting up, but then I could agree with Keith. He's protecting him, and that's a lot of punches not to answer back, you know.
Ken Flo, a couple things. I'm going to try to say them quickly because I really want to get your thoughts on this. I do like when referees know the athlete. I would like for the referees to understand that Dominic Cruz has never been knocked out in mixed martial arts competition, has a hell of a chin, so maybe I would have liked him to have gotten a little bit of a longer leash. Referees can't be focused on there only being 2 seconds left on the clock. I think a lot of people, maybe myself included, would like Dom to have gotten those final 2 seconds, but Keith Peterson doesn't care if there's 2 seconds or 20 seconds on the clock. But one thing that I just want to say, and for the pro fighters that are listening to our podcast, I hope you'll listen to this. Referees don't want to be manipulated in the back as to how to do their job. So I understand that Dominic Cruz has a habit of going up to referees and saying, hey, let me die on my shield. But the referees have egos, right? And they don't want to be told how to do their job, especially when it comes to fighter safety. So I'm not saying that worked against Dominic, but, he told me by phone when he tried to talk to Keith about that, Keith wouldn't even look him in the eye. Referees don't want to be told in the back how to do their job.
Yeah, that's true. And you're absolutely right about the time thing. That was one thing that I tweeted about, only 2 seconds left. Come on. That should not be on the mind of the referee. He's concerned with the safety of the fighters, as he should be. It was just, for me, I think he's still trying to get up to his feet. He was posting his hands on the mat. He was posting his legs on the mat to try to, get up to his hands and try to look for an escape there. Was he hurt? Was that a brutal knee? Absolutely. And I think Ray's right here, to be honest. When you really think about it, if it's a question of, letting a fighter take another punch that could permanently damage him or stopping the fight, you got to stop the fight. However, with Dom and his experience and stuff like that, I would have liked to seen him at least kind of, give the guy a chance. Those shots at the end, they weren't brutal shots. They weren't like the knee type shots.
I agree.
They weren't like the clean type shots on the temple or, on the chin, things like that where, Dom's actually rocking forward from the shots. Those were like little, rabbit shots to the side of the head or whatever that really weren't affecting Dom. So in that regard, I would have liked to seen it. I think there's a difference between, a punch on the ground, a big punch on the ground, a punch to the chin, how hard that punch is. You got to take that all into consideration. But the knee was dramatic. It definitely was a big knee.
I agree with a lot of what you said, and his body was still firm too when he was taking those ground strikes. Ray, go ahead, man.
Yeah, I think we're all agreeing on everything we're saying. This is why it was a tricky fight, but that's why he gives Cejudo credit, because he does. I agree, the punches weren't that crazy, but he does put you in a position where he's going so fast and it happens so quick that you kind of got to jump in there. That's where it gets, I think, a little tricky. So hats off to Cejudo. I think he does that great. You know what I mean? He didn't sit there and look to pick his shots, and hold them down. He just started firing, and and the other part with that is it looked like that fight was going Cejudo's way. I didn't see anything that led me to believe that Cruz was going to win that fight. It had it kept going, even though it was very, very early. But Cejudo just looked like he was in tune with everything, man. He wasn't falling for anything. His leg kicks were vicious.
I thought Dom was winning the second round, actually. Up until that point, he was winning that round. I had him winning that round.
Yeah, he started looking. Yeah, no. I'm not disagreeing or agreeing. I just think it was an unfortunate thing because on both sides, I could make a case for being stopped early or being stopped late. But I thought Cejudo was fighting a great fight. Yeah, he had his spurts, Tom. I don't know if he was. I'd have to go back and look at it because my mind's just thinking of the knee right now. But it just looked like it was kind of effortless for him. You know what I mean? Like it looked like the movement wasn't going to end up being a problem. That's preliminary, and it might be stupid to say, but that's what I was looking at. So at the end of the day, I feel bad for Dom. Look, I know the guy, I like the guy. Yeah. I would have loved to have seen him get a chance. It's just that's a weird one, because it could have went either way.
And, I'm friends with Dominic Cruz. I'm friends with Keith Peterson. I know much is being made of Dominic saying on our post show that Keith Peterson smelled like cigarettes and alcohol. But I spoke with Dominic Cruz for 45 minutes Sunday morning at 4:00 a.m. And he's owning this loss. He's really not making excuses. He said he should have been more offensive and he shouldn't have gotten hit with the knee. I do believe, Kenny, he was having a lot of success in round two. But Henry Cejudo, right, of all the athletes that I have gotten to know and watch since I started with the UFC, other than maybe Ken Flo, no one has had a bigger impact from an inspirational standpoint on me than Henry Cejudo. This guy is so special. Look no further, Ray, than the way he responded after that inadvertent headbutt. He didn't take the last 20 seconds of the second round off. He went out and fucking smoked Dominic Cruz and defended his title, retires after the fact. Tremendous combat sports legacy. I think the only sad part for me is that he looks like an absolute killer right now who is entering his fighting prime. And at least if maybe they're not going to meet his number, it looks like he might just walk away for good, Ray.
Listen, this is what I loved about that fight more than anything is that, let me tell you something. If you're not a Henry Cejudo fan after that fight, I think something's wrong with you. Even if the retirement, I don't know if it's a ploy for money, but to walk out of this game, on top like that, I personally love to see. I really do. And if it is true, I don't know, like, again, it could be a promotional thing for money, but I think for a while, if he doesn't get his money, he'll be fine going into the next chapter of his life. I mean, I believed it, and I could be wrong, but I think, like, again, even when he said, you don't have to listen to me anymore. I mean, you could see this is a guy that, people with the cringe and all of that stuff, but you could see he's a really good dude under there, man. I thought it was heartfelt. I enjoyed it. If that guy goes out on top, I'll even respect him more, because I don't know. I just got that feeling. I have a saying. It's like, I'd rather be a starving dog roaming free than a fat dog on a chain. And that's what I felt with that, man. Hey, listen, I'm not getting what I want. I'm not bowing to anybody. I'm getting out of here on top. Look what I've done. Look what I've accomplished. It's hard to disagree with any of those accolades, man. I mean, the guy's phenomenal. And again, I thought he spoke. This is the best I've ever heard him sound speaking when he's not doing any bullshit or trying to be a different person. I thought what I saw was fantastic. And I wish him all the luck in the world. I wasn't the biggest Henry Cejudo fan, but I certainly am now.
Ken Flo, what do you got for me on Henry, kid?
He really is special. I don't even know what to say at this point. This is a guy who has everything you need to be in order to be a fighter. He's got a different level of athleticism that you just rarely see in this sport. But then you see that he's got the intelligence as far as his strategies and going out there and being able to execute that. If he does struggle, can you adapt out there? Yes, you can. Are you a world champion? Yep. He's got 2 divisions. Are you competing against the toughest guys in the sport? 100% as well. Comes from an Olympic gold medalist background in freestyle wrestling, which very few people will ever get a chance to do. He is absolutely something special. If he retires now, he will kind of not only be in a conversation of one of the greatest to ever do it, but people will be talking about could he have been the greatest of all time? Right. 10-0, Olympic gold medalist, made it look easy, finishing guys left and right. Yeah. He's got power as well. He's got a chin. I mean, there's so many things about Henry Cejudo that are checked off on the list. I don't think there's anything left. Good luck beating that guy. Good luck beating that guy. If he stays, I hope he gets the money. He absolutely deserves it. He's someone that people should be talking about. If he doesn't, I wish him the best of luck as well. And that's like a G move right there. Him saying, you know what? I don't need it. I don't need the money. I got my belts. I came in here. I kicked everyone's ass. Yep. Take it easy.
Right. Well, and you look at his last 4. Man. You look at his last 4 victims, right? Demetrius Johnson and T.J. Dillashaw, Marlon Moraes and Dominic Cruz. Wins belts in 2 divisions, defends them both. And I do believe his inner monologue right now is such that, all right, I want to be C4 instead of triple C, but I'm too small to fight Alexander Volkanovski. I do believe he thinks it's just biting off a little more than he can chew. I just think there's too much of a size gap there. So to defend the bantamweight title against Petr Yan right now, I think he wants big money to do that. And if that's not going to happen, there's really not a whole lot else to prove. And I don't necessarily see a whole lot of upside in one more bantamweight title defense from a legacy standpoint. So yeah, you talk about G moves. What a fucking G.
Yeah.
I'm going 100% with that. 100%. Crazy. I really, and I tell you, that win over Marlon Moraes is fascinating because Marlon's a big 135, and he's a powerful guy. That was a really impressive win, man.
Yeah.
And like you said, he's gotten better. He looks like he's gotten comfortable in his own skin, or whatever was, the weight thing isn't a problem as it was in the past, or whatever was going on. But he's a handful, man. He looks, I think what he's doing is fantastic. He's getting out on top, and like you said, John, what is one more fight going to do for him against Peter Yan, who nobody, kind of knows. And to Henry's credit, I mean, Demetrius Johnson, we all know, probably pound for pound the best fighter, but you kind of almost forgot about him with Henry being around the last couple of years. It's not, and that might just be me, but I think he's done such a good job at capturing people to pay attention to him that, Demetrius, I don't remember the last time he fought. I remember this guy's last couple of fights. So crazy, carrying 2 divisions, and to go out like that. Yeah, I'm going. That's great stuff, man.
John Anik is frozen in time, and now Kenny Florian is like looking around the rainforest.
Oh shit! Oh, you had those guys on video?
Oh yeah, they're on video, Ray. I mean, we haven't come up with the money to pay you yet for your FaceTime.
No, that's thanks. How long ago did it freeze?
Oh no! I mean, we'll figure it out. Now Kenny's microphone isn't on.
Oh yeah, sorry. It actually finished up perfectly, Ray. Actually, so.
Yeah,
you had your chance.
That worked out great.
Yeah, you had your chance to answer, and that was perfect.
I mean, this is my time to shine. Don't act like we're not on the air, guys. This is my time to show the world that I can carry this show.
I'd like to bring in a man on the street, TJ DeSantis.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll get Anik back. We should maybe finish with this, though. I know we're short on time, but we got some voicemails, and this one is probably near and dear to Ray Longo's heart.
This is Steve Lee, big fan of the podcast. Loved the event last night. I know a lot of guys were complaining when the UFC first said they were going to put it on, but I know all those same people watched the event, so can't complain about it now. Awesome fights. Really enjoy the show. Hope you guys keep it up.
Now I feel like I got caught with my hand in the cookie jar because John Anik is back, and I'm trying to steal his thunder.
Wow.
Welcome to the DeSantis and Florian podcast. John Anik, you can have your show back.
It's fucked up, TJ. What a weird day this has been, huh?
Jesus.
So, Longo, your guy Steve, great supporter of the show, checking in on the voicemail line. We appreciate that, buddy.
He's a great kid, man. He's a great kid, man. And, I don't know. I got nothing else to say. I have a lot of fun with him. He manages the gym, and he does a great job.
All right, buddy. Well, you're always doing a great job. Appreciate the support and the text over the weekend, and we'll talk to you next Monday, man. Thanks for the extended time.
All right. And again, stay safe. Wow, I'm spitting all over myself, but stay safe over there, man. I hope everything's up to snuff. But look, great to be back. Some sense of normalcy, Kenny. No, back to looking at some fights.
We needed
I went
that.
from looking at the ceiling to the fights. It was great. But great night, guys. Listen, man, again, everybody stay safe. It was great. Great energy, great vibe, great talking about the fights again. I'll see you next week.